The south side of Lebanon's downtown square is getting sporty thanks to Lane and Brown's Sporting Gear. The new shop adds another retail offering to the heart of the city. In episode 199 of the Love and Lebanon podcast, Rob Crawford and Brady Martin tell us how the new shop came to be and what's planned for the building's second floor. Fishing, biking, and outdoor must-haves are now on sale downtown. Episode 199 of the Love and Lebanon podcast starts now.
Welcome to the Love and Lebanon podcast, highlighting all the great things happening in Lebanon, Indiana. Have an idea for an episode? Send an email to loveandlebanon@lebanon.in.gov.
Hey everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Love and Lebanon podcast. We are on location for this episode of the pod. I'm Joe LePage, the City of Lebanon Communications and Community Development Director. You may have seen by the title of the podcast and, of course, the graphics we put together as well, but we are on location at Lane and Brown's Sporting Gear on the south side of the Courthouse Square in Lebanon. I've got Rob Crawford, the Director of Operations, and Brady Martin. He is the Director of Sales, joining us here this time on the pod. Guys, thanks for being here on this episode of the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
It's a cold day as we're recording here, but nice and warm inside, and a lot of fun things happening on the south side of the square, and being able to kind of add an experience for folks that are coming downtown in Lebanon and being able to take in a number of different things. You may know the names of Rob Crawford and Brady Martin from the Chop House next door from where we're at, across the beautiful catenary lighting in the alley that's there on the south side of the square. You guys are well involved with the Chop House. What does it feel like to be able to bring something so cool, so rustic, so fantastic to downtown Lebanon? It's an amazing experience for folks to come in, Rob.
You know, I came into Lebanon in October of 18 and acquired the property that Chop House occupies now. It's funny, when I acquired that property, Main Street was a gravel road and the alley was just sand lot. But I saw the vision for what the city wanted to do. And I thought, well, this is a great opportunity and a great area to be at. And so you kind of fast forward from there. Obviously, that rejuvenation of the square, redoing the alley with the lighting, as you mentioned earlier, all those things come together. And then the things that the city does, the Heart of Lebanon does, to work with business leaders, community leaders, to grow this area. And I've said this before, it reciprocates. You know, you've got to have people coming downtown to support the area, but you've got to give them a reason to come downtown. So, well, you know, the Chop House group came in 2000. That's been really great. It's been a great offering for the community. It's been a great offering for us. And then moving through that and growing that experience, then this opportunity arose, and it's like, hey, here we are, south side of the square, two buildings that have great opportunities right across the alley from each other, and I'm very fortunate to be able to leverage that opportunity and bring it to the community here. So here we are.
So you acquired the property during the construction. I go back to the Money Pit movie with Tom Hanks, where it's like, I got 2 weeks and it's all the way down to the studs. And so what everyone, Rob is talking about, everybody, is the former Bijou, the former People's Brewing, bought that property during the construction season when it didn't look fantastic here downtown. We said embrace the orange, because there was a lot of orange, a lot of dust, a lot of gravel, as you said. But you saw the vision going forward and what it could have been or could be as the construction was taking place.
Right. And you even take that one step further. You go, well, you know, what's the measurable on that? So when I looked at that property in the fall of 2018, Peoples was occupying that building. They were closed on Mondays and Tuesdays because there wasn't enough activity on the square to support the business. And then I think it was probably like mid-19, late 19, after the construction was done, you started to see a little bit of an uptick, and then they started opening on Tuesdays. And so then you fast forward to today, and how many restaurants now sit on the square between the Chop House and Clues, Four Fingers, Arnie's, Greeks, and they're all open. I have a great offering of open time to serve the customers. So from that metric right there, you go, well, that is working. That growth is there. The opportunities are there.
And when did the collaboration with Brady begin? And when did you come on, Brady, and be able to kind of help out with the Chop House and what Rob, that vision that he saw, and help make it a reality?
So I met with the Chop House group early 2023 on a different venture that we had talked about. And then I came on board at the actual Chop House and kind of took the reins there. Luckily enough, I got to walk in and it was all pretty and nice downtown Lebanon. I didn't have to see the vision. It was kind of already in front of me. So I didn't have to do a lot of legwork there. But, I've been with the group, since March of 2023. And, 2023 was very challenging for us just because we had a lot of changes going on inside the restaurant. The time in the community was just different, I feel like, because I feel like that was kind of the peak. Clues had just started being open on Mondays. You just kind of saw that big influx of people coming downtown and just trying to really captivate that. At the same time, we knew that Four Fingers was getting ready to come on the scene. So we had this new neighbor coming on and just different offerings that we could offer downtown. So it was really cool for me just because I got to experience the overall growth downtown. I feel like I got to see a lot of different businesses come in and got to be a part of that. And then with Rob, Rob's being the building owner over there, I got to meet him and know him over the past 2 years, and really got to do a bunch of different things, and this happens to just be one of them. Yeah,
and so things are up and running. You guys have a great first floor space, and then upstairs as well as a great kind of banquet hall that you can rent out, in a really cool place to fireside chat, to be able to have a drink and some maps and things upstairs as well. Across the catenary lights that were then completed and across the alley, formerly where we're standing now was EB Gear or Eberhart Ballistics for many years. When did the conversations begin of maybe this could kind of be a complement and be able to be acquired, to be able to have them kind of play nice, something that would be here that would go along with what's happening at the Chop House? Brady?
Yeah, so on that note, it's actually kind of funny. Mick had ran EB Gear for as long as I've been here. Her brother, though, Rich, was the owner and founder of EB Gear. But I've gotten to know Mick over the course of my time running the Chop House. And, we chat back and forth, just being neighbors. And one day I was outside planting flowers, of all things, and she came up, and I just looked up at her, and we were having a small chat. And I said, "When are you going to retire?" She's like, "Well, when somebody forces me to." But, that kind of started the conversation, and I kind of learned a little bit more about their background as a whole and as an organization. And then I just kind of saw an opportunity, and knowing Rob and his love of history for these downtown buildings, I knew that he was the one to approach about it.
And Rob, how did that? I'm guessing that process didn't take a long time, but was one that you were able to kind of had that chat with Mick and move forward?
Yeah, so 2024, I was kind of taking a break from real estate. I had my portfolio kind of set in place, and we made some moves, and so I was kind of like in this kind of chill zone, if you will, kind of figure out, because a lot of times with real estate, it's more of a chess game than it is anything else, right? And so, we had some headwinds over there, as Brady just mentioned, with Chop House. I'm like, okay, I've got some open bandwidth. Bring me in on this. Let's understand what's going on inside these four walls. What's our training program look like? What's our offerings to the customer look like? What's our interaction? I really genuinely wanted to learn that, right? So I come in, I go through the training process. Short of that story is Brady and I are actually working together now, right? Leading a team, putting together a team to really bring that experience together and just kind of refine some of the things that were already in place, right? So, I'm there every night, and he starts joking with me about it. He goes, "She's looking. Are you looking?" I'm like, "I don't know if I'm looking. I don't even know what I'm doing right now," right?
Joking became pushing. Like, "Hey, you're looking."
Yeah.
So you're telling him.
Yeah. So we came over here and looked at it, and I walked the building, and we started talking with Mick about it, and knowing that she didn't hold the keys necessarily to it, so we had to kind of navigate through that process. And really, from the time that I walked it, started chatting with her, put together what I thought was a really good faith offer on the property, and then they started talking about wanting to unload the actual business itself. And I said, well, yeah, yes, no, maybe. And then we started a conversation with her one day. Because I'm looking at this thing and I'm going, well, it's a firearms dealer in the back and it's a boutique in the front. And that's kind of eclectic and odd, but nonetheless, I'm not the one stroking the checks on it right now, right? Okay. So, hey, have you guys ever thought about scaling the business to like fishing, hunting, camping, archery? What's the dynamic here? Why are you guys where you are? Mm-hmm. And she was kind of indifferent to it. You could tell she was probably ready to retire. Mm-hmm. And scaling a business in that manner was not really. She didn't give to me the vibe that was in the wheelhouse. But I looked at it from that opportunity. I go, well, you know what? We're right here on the square. You've got a buying opportunity and a customer base of people who are coming in who are outdoor enthusiasts at some level already. So why not scale it to that next offering? And so Brady and I started talking about that and kind of mapping that out and what's that look and feel like. You've already got the firearms, so what complements that? Hunting, camping, fishing. That's always going to be a big target mover right there. And in fact, that's one of our, even though it's 0 degrees outside right now as we talk, there's people coming in. Yeah, there's people coming in. Oh yeah, you got those. You got the big grubs. You got these jig heads here, and it's like, okay.
And I would say one of the nicest things, and when we were trying to kind of figure out and develop the concept overall, because this was before anything was set in stone, it was really nice to talk to just some of our employees and some of our customers that come into the chop house. Like, hey, what do you want to see on the square? Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we got, honestly, the general basis of our concept from. One of our employees next door is an avid fisherman, Cody. He loves to fish, and so we sat and talked to him. Another one of our employees is super involved in youth t-ball and baseball, and talked to her, and that's how all the baseball equipment that you see came to life. So it was actually really a unique opportunity for us because we're already so involved in the community. Rob being on the Heart of Lebanon, me being over at the chop house and getting to see the customers every day, it was kind of an easy choice.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Everybody, we're talking with Rob Crawford and we're talking with Brady Martin here at Lane & Brown Sporting Gear here on the south side of the Courthouse Square in Lebanon for this episode of the Love in Lebanon podcast. So you guys make it happen. You talk with the folks that own EB Gear and you make the transition. Your names aren't Lane and Brown. How did that whole thing come to be and why the namesake here with Lane and Brown Sporting Gear?
Honestly, it's kind of a funny story.
Yeah, I'll let you start that.
I'll let you,
I'll give you the history lesson.
So I'll let him give you the history lesson. I'm not a history guy myself. I don't know enough about Lebanon to be. But we're sitting out on the patio one night. Chop house is already closed. We're sitting here trying to brainstorm how this is going to work, what it looks like, feels like. I'm literally sitting right outside this door right here. My back is to the courthouse and Rob's facing it. And we're sitting here talking different names and like, hey, what makes sense? And I had thrown out a couple. And then Rob goes, well, what about Lane and Brown Sporting? I'm like, well, that sounds really cool. How did you come up with that? Like, that's out of thin air. And Rob just nonchalantly points at the mural that he had put on the side of 111 West Main.
And so the one that you restored and brought back to its original. That.
And then I'll let him tell you the history behind that mural and how it correlates with these two buildings.
Okay.
Right. So, yeah, and he's looking at me, giving me that blank look like, okay, sounds great. It's got a good feel, but I don't, okay. So Lane and Brown, we're going to take a quick little history lesson on 111, 113 West Main here, which is where the chop house is. Mm-hmm. So William Trips, German immigrant, came over to Lebanon in 1854, built that building in 1871. And in late 1871, early 1872, there was a massive fire that destroyed quite a few businesses here in town. Which another side story to that is if you ever look at the signage for Lebanon Police Department, you notice it was established in 1872 after this fire. So Lane and Brown was part of that fire and they needed a place to reset up their hardware store. And so through documentation and history, they were one of the first tenants to William Trips after he had finished that building. So they moved their hardware store into that. Not really able to articulate exactly what the mural originally was on that side of that building. I was able, through all the history, realize that Lane & Brown was one of their early tenants, if not the first tenant. So that's why that mural was created, was to pay homage to that history of Lane and Brown Hardware being first tenant to William Tripp's there on the square here. So with that, it was like, okay, we can play off that history, and it's got a good vibe. It kind of comes together. So Lane and Brown Sporting Gear. So
And the cool thing about it is, back then hardware stores was where you went to buy your firearm. You walked in, that's where you bought your firearm. Probably where you bought your fishing gear too. I can't speak to that exactly, but you watch those old westerns, you kind of get the gist of what a hardware store looked like back in the day. So it was really cool, and sadly I can't claim that I came up with it myself, but I was there when I looked at the mural.
And you know it worked when he referenced it.
Yep.
And there we go. So we kind of tiptoed around the inventory a little bit, guys. But if we can kind of look around the store, Rob, you mentioned some of the fishing gear, and Brady, you mentioned that one of your coworkers at the Chop House, they're into T-ball and doing some of the coaching. Looking around, guys, I see some bicycles right here along the Big Four Trail on the south side. Fishing gear as well, athletic stuff as well. What led to the inventory? If you don't mind talking us through e-bikes, looks like it's e-bikes behind us. What made that inventory kind of come together for you guys?
Well, getting a vision of what to bring into the community and how to serve the community on a scale that made sense with a personal touch and service. And so outdoor sporting gear, and we started putting that package together and trying to navigate through that and what that looks and feels like. The e-bikes, the original seed for that was exactly like you said. We're on the south side of the square. We're on the Big Four Trail. I've done some homework here, and you can figure out that you can ride from here to Thorntown with the Stookies in about 45 to 50 minutes. You could make the ride down to Whitestown to LA Cafe, probably about 45 minutes. Now you're going to have to hit some country roads because the trail's not complete
connected
through there.
just yet, yeah.
Right. So you start seeing those things. You're like, hey, man, there's some opportunities there. So we started looking at the Troxus e-bike line. And one of the pilot programs we're going to launch, obviously it's not the correct time of the year to do it, but we'll be launching this in the spring, is a rental program to rent the bikes. So it'll be a tool that gives a customer the opportunity to come in. They can do that ride, rent one of the bikes we'll rent them by the hour is how that'll probably look. And I feel like that's going to be a good segue tool to selling those as well. So you get an opportunity to ride it. Now
Maybe I should make this my own type thing.
Right.
Okay,
How can I really
Well, I think
enjoy the outdoors?
I think it does a couple things. It brings people to downtown Lebanon, gets them on the e-bike, brings them inside our store, and they can ride around to the other stores down here before they hit the Big Four Trail. That's the really nice thing about being on the Big Four Trail in general. It's just you're so connected. Like he said, get to Whitestown, you can get to Thorntown really easily. So I find that really nice.
Yeah, and those two opportunities, like I said, the two restaurants I reference are just
Some of the
off the top
couples.
of the head.
Yeah.
References, that you can
Absolutely.
use.
And why make it more retail? Because I'm guessing this ties in quite nicely with what the Chop House offers. That if you're on a wait list, if things are busy, you can come over here and stroll a little bit and linger longer. As the Heart of Lebanon has their kind of catchphrase now. Is that kind of the goal, is to bring more retail to downtown?
I would say so. And different offerings downtown. I can't name personally one small sporting goods store that isn't Dick's Sporting Goods or Academy. And there's nothing wrong with any of the box. I just think it's nice to have a nice local. And there's so many nice opportunities down here. I mean, you got Samson Leather. You've got Merlin Norm. So it's just bringing that different offering to downtown Lebanon.
Absolutely. And you guys aren't done. You guys are doing the space down on the first floor, but upstairs, before we hit record, everybody, we're talking to Rob and Brady about the demo work upstairs has begun. That there's a plan for the second floor space of this building as well. Brady, what's that all about?
Well, that's more R&D Property Service Group. So you got two different entities kind of working here together. Lane and Brown's downstairs, but R&D Property Service Group is one of Rob's ventures. I do help a little bit on that, but he could articulate the overall vision of the upstairs. All I can say is I'm definitely behind it. It's definitely I think something that downtown Lebanon needs.
Gotcha.
I work with a lot of the different corporations in Lebanon, both in the business park and out at the LEAP project. And I think what Rob has envisioned and has put together is definitely going to serve a valuable purpose in this community.
Gotcha.
Right. No, thanks for the segue on that. You're absolutely right. I mean, and now this is great tie-in again to my time that I was working over at the Chop House over the summer and meeting different people, serving and being a bartender, was the number of people coming in that were traveling. traveling business people. They came in, grabbed some dinner that night, had a drink, and they were going to be here 3 or 4 days, and then they were back on the road to the next thing. Plus, you got the Lily deal going on up north, and that's not going anywhere anytime soon, right? So those things right there planted the seed and gave me the idea of what would, there's a need for extended stay luxury suites. And so I reached out to Discover Boone County, and Allison was able to walk me through that. And an interesting stat was that while Boone County continues to add hotel rooms, the vacancy rate was decreasing. So the occupancy rate was increasing while additionally adding rooms. Now, she was not able to articulate what those numbers look like from an Airbnb perspective, but this was just sheer hotel rooms that reported.
And I would say, I think from the Heart of Lebanon standpoint that of, there's only 3 Airbnbs in Lebanon, correct?
I believe that to be a true statement.
There are not many. I know that.
Yeah. It's pretty
I just know
limited.
it's been a topic of conversation.
It's pretty limited, yeah, for sure, right? And so, again, as this opportunity is percolating and we're navigating through what this thing looks and feels like and how to leverage the investment, because obviously if you're going to write the check for that, you're going to have to understand all that, right? It really started to come clear that through meeting different people from different walks of life, being here with the Lily Project and the LEAP District just being a few miles up the road, and then the expansion of the business park, which is well established, just 2 minutes down the road this way, this was a great offering. All the infrastructure's here, the shopping, the restaurants. You can make an argument, do we still need one of these or another one of those? And that's fine. That's a great conversation to have. It's better than what's going on, So that's the easy part of the conversation. And that's what's driving the development of the upstairs, is to build out. As the concept currently looks, there will be 3 extended stay luxury suites. 2 of them are about 525 square feet, and the front one, because of the way it's laid out, would be about 600 square feet.
Nice. Timeline for completion of that?
2026, correct?
Yeah, we're really targeting first quarter of 2026.
I mean, to kind of build off what Rob said, I mean, you look at the Brickman building. I believe I'm saying that correctly.
Yep.
There's a lot of different business people that keep a spot in there. Sorry.
They're open, everybody, so the phones are blowing up. People are in here.
There's a lot of different business people that currently reside in that building. And one thing that I've noticed, being the GM at the Chop House, is they all come downtown to shop, to live, work, and play. I mean, that's the nicest thing about Lebanon that I can say. I'm from a bigger city. I'm from the Lafayette area.
Nice.
So, you don't really get that community feel in that big city. There's a lot of people living, working, and playing there, but you don't really feel the sense of community. 9 times out of 10, somebody walks through the door of the Chop House. I know. Yeah. I've met them once before. I could tell you a backstory on them, maybe their kid's name, wife's name, dog's name, kind of thing. But, getting to run the Chop House and meet these different people, I've met a couple of different people that, there's one person in particular, his name's Gary. He's been to 2 different houses now here in Lebanon, just moving it up. And there's a lot of people like him and these different business people that need a place to stay but aren't here for the long term. So we don't want to take up housing that could be towards a resident that's going to be a permanent, Heart of Lebanon person.
Gotcha. So you guys see the need for residential, you're meeting it, see the need for retail, and you're taking strides to meet that as well. How good does it make you feel to be able to kind of see a need and meet a need in this realm here at Lane & Brown Sporting Gear?
No, it's a great feeling to be able to fill that void and work with the community. Again, as Brady alluded to, yes, I sit on the board for Heart of Lebanon, so very involved in what goes on with that and helping shape how we interact with the community, how we interact with business leaders in the community, and what the needs are both ways. What do we need to keep this momentum going, and what do community leaders, what does the community itself need? And so you bring those pieces of the puzzle together. And it's great. I mean, it's really great when you're meeting people. I do miss my days of being able to serve over there at the Chop House, but
I'm sure Brady will let you.
The bandwidth is what it is, right? But the great part of that is meeting people and chatting with them, and what's their background? Where are they coming from? Where are they going to? What are their what do they got going on?
Well, that's one of the coolest things about Lebanon. You just meet so many different people from so many different walks of life. One of the things that I've liked the most about not only just being at the Chop House, but starting this venture, Rob and I, before we started this venture, Rob had a property actually out in Crawfordsville. And we had some things going there and started a concept called Crawfordsville Station, which we've actually brought to a couple of downtown Lebanon events.
Nice.
So there's all these different ways that we're involved in the community. Like Rob said, he's on the Heart of Lebanon. I sit on the board for Radio Mom. And, one thing that I found about Lebanon in general, whether you're a corporation, you're somebody that's lived here for 30, 40 years, or you're just a new family that's moved in, there is just an automatic sense of community. And I can tell you that just by walking in the Chop House doors the first time.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool feeling. I definitely like it, and I'm looking forward to kind of building on that.
As we round things out here in this episode of the Love and Lebanon podcast on location at Lane and Brown Sporting Gear, the importance of having tried and true hours, and if you guys don't mind passing along, there's kind of a hustle and bustle with you guys, as you guys are both nonstop and people in here all the time. What are the hours? What's the best place to kind of see what you guys have going as far as inventory is concerned, or just kind of see when the hours are and when they can come in and how their needs can be met?
Yeah, so obviously we're a new startup, so there's certain things we're still fine tuning, but our hours are what they are. Monday through Friday we are 10 to 6, and Saturday we are 11 to 4. The only days we're closed is Sunday, but you can find all this information on our website, which is www.lbsgear.com. We've got an online shop there, so we do e-commerce. Still getting all that set up, so don't mind the quirks that you see. Sign up for our email subscribing list. That's how you can stay tuned for everything that we do. Right now we're running a giveaway, so if you follow, like, and share on our Facebook, you're entered onto that. So definitely different ways to stay involved with us, but I definitely recommend going to the website.
Well, fantastic. And folks, a lot of info there, signing up for the newsletter and also checking them out online. I'll put all that stuff in the body of the podcast. You can just click and go and check out all the things that Lane and Brown Sporting Gear has to offer. Guys, thanks so much for being here on the podcast, letting us come in, set up on this cold day, getting us out of the freezing, the sub 32 temperatures, and then getting in here and chatting a little bit. Appreciate you being on.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah, thanks for coming in. Appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing everybody come in.
We'll have to have you back on the podcast at a future date. Thanks, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Love and Lebanon podcast. More episodes coming your way soon. Take care.